I don't know. I think Sarah, for opening remarks, should we go down the line? Wait a second. Potato. Okay.
Testing, testing, testing,
Hello, hello.
testing, testing. Perfect.
We are not taught to sit like princesses.
Welcome, welcome, and good afternoon. We are here in Sharm el Sheikh at the Atoms for Climate Pavilion. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, those of you watching us remotely, and good afternoon, all of you that are physically here today. My name is Sama Bilbao y León. I am Director General of World Nuclear Association. I want to start by recognizing the organizations that have helped organize and prepare this panel session. So we have the World Nuclear Association, Canadian Nuclear Association, Nuclear Energy Institute, Nuclear Europe, Japan Atomic Industrial Forum, the United Kingdom Nuclear Industry Association, and of course the International Atomic Energy Agency. And in this particular session, we are partnering with Women in Nuclear Global. So I think that I also want to recognize another organization, WIRE, Women in Renewable Energy, that recently signed a memorandum of understanding with Women in Nuclear Global. And I think that is fabulous how women, we are coming together to ensure that we move towards a clean energy system. So today, as many of you know, is Gender Day here at COP27. And of course, the topic and the goal of this session is to highlight the very important role of women within the context of climate change. So there is two aspects that I want to highlight, and I know we have a fabulous set of women here that we will go and discuss all this. So number one, I want to remind all of you something that I think you know, which is that the effects of climate change and energy poverty disproportionately affect women and girls all over the world. So access to abundant, affordable, 24/7 clean energy is absolutely essential to empowering women and making sure that they can be emancipated everywhere in the world. So that is one part of this discussion. But on the other hand, and also very important, is the fact that the enormity and the urgency of the challenge, the climate challenge that we have in front of us, is going to require that we recruit and retain as much talent as possible. And this means that we need, for clean energy, an absolutely diverse, equitable, all-inclusive, gender-balanced mix of people that are going to deliver clean energy all over the world. So to explore all these topics, I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled, to be accompanied today by an all-star panel of women representing many aspects of the global clean energy ecosystem. So I'm going to introduce very briefly all of them, and then we will start with the conversations. If you want to know their very accomplished bios and CVs, you can go to the website and you can read for hours, but we don't have hours, so we will go very quickly. So I will start with Lara Holgate, who is the ambassador of the United States in front of the UN institutions in Vienna, in particularly the International Atomic Energy Agency. Welcome, Laura. So we have Marianne Quarem. So she is a senior research and development project management at the Emirates Nuclear Energy Corporation, ENEC. Welcome, Miriam. We have Lisa McBride, who is VP and country leader for GE Small Modular Reactors in Canada, but she is also the president of Women in Nuclear Canada. Welcome, Lisa. We also have Princess Tombeni. Princey is a multi-award winning nuclear communicator, specialist, and founder of Africa for Nuclear. Welcome. We have also Joanna Osowe. She's the president and CEO of WIRE, Women in Renewable Energy. And last but not least, we have Sohair Korra, who is a professor at the Egyptian Atomic Energy Authority and is representing today Women in Nuclear Global. So thank you, all of you, for joining us today. So I'm going to start by asking each one of you to do a brief opening statement, trying to frame the conversation that we are going to have. So Laura, do you want to start?
Well, thank you so much, Sama, and wow, what a panel. I feel so honored to be on this stage with all of this amazing talent, and I've been meeting it all over. This is my first COP, and it's amazing how I see women leaders in so many of the panels and so many of the pavilions all around. I think, your opening comments, I think, to me, provide some of the most important answers to why do we need women in nuclear. And I would say it's threefold. It's an argument from equity, it's an argument from efficacy, and it's an argument from justice. From an equity point of view, all humans should have a chance to achieve their goals, to be able to pursue what fascinates them, what opportunities they have before them. And so we need to really be creating those opportunities and making sure that women have a chance to get into the field in the first place. Anyone who feels like they want to. And that's partially because we just need more people in this business. If we're going to achieve our goals for nuclear's effective contribution to net zero, we're going to need a lot more people. These problems are too big to leave anybody outside the door. The second is an argument from efficacy. And we have seen study after study and field after field that note that the outcomes of diverse decision-making communities are more durable, they're better, and they last longer, and they are more just. And so those are some key elements. The more diverse the views you have, the better the outcomes are going to be. And then the other point is from justice. Whether you're talking about climate issues or whether you're talking about how nuclear interacts in the environment, how that affects women is disproportionately strong. And so we need to be sure that we have women doing the research, women who are part of the decision-making, of the siting and the design of these facilities, and to make sure that that voice is heard so that disproportionate negative effect is not perpetuated in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Sama. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you in person, and I am incredibly overwhelmed by the highly achieved ladies that I'm here with. So thank you for having me. Just a little background about myself. I work as a manager in the Research and Development Department at ENEC, Emirates Nuclear Energy Corporation. And just to give you more information, the UAE Energy Program was established back in 2008 when the UAE released its energy policy. And if you go through that policy, you will see that it didn't only talk about the production of clean energy, it talked about also creating high-value jobs for UAE nationals. So one of the main pillars of that program was creating highly skilled individuals that's going to support the program and the development of the capacity building programs for these individuals, and including women, obviously. I've been with the program for more than 10 years. I had the privilege to be one of the first female engineers in the program. And when I was invited to be in this panel, I started reflecting on my journey when I started as a fresh nuclear engineer in the program. And I realized that ENIC and just the model in the UAE, that we had an intentional and conscious approach towards developing the competencies and the knowledge of all individuals, included women, by giving the equal opportunities to be in these amazing, highly specialized training programs, being in the fields, working alongside other individuals, all the way to the point where I am now given the opportunity to have a more active role in leading specialized and unique projects and influencing the decisions that are being taken place. So I think this is the success of the fact that this is why we have so many highly qualified, educated women working in the nuclear program, and this is something that I benefited from, that helped me achieve my full potential. I'm working towards achieving my full potential, definitely, but this is something definitely that I want to talk about and share more about during this panel. Definitely these are exciting times, and I want people to leave the session with a positive note about where we're going from here today. Thank you.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here on Gender Day. It's definitely an esteemed panel. Thank you, Sama, for the invitation to participate. Certainly, you're also a superstar in the nuclear industry and in clean energy transition. If I just take a step back for a minute and talk a little bit about the role of Women in Nuclear Canada and Women in Nuclear Global, we bring a really unique perspective to the industry, having been women that work in the nuclear industry. And there's an interesting sort of protest, I think, happening next door. In any case, Women in Nuclear has a unique perspective to bring, to share the experiences of women working in the industry, to educate women and communities on nuclear and radiation technologies. I'm going to pause just for a minute. We need to do that next year on Gender Day. So, we have a unique perspective to bring, and our role really is to educate the public on nuclear and radiation technologies and the benefits of those technologies to society. In Canada, currently women are representing only 23% of the roles in the nuclear industry. So we have lots of room to grow, and we have some progress to make when we think about our clean energy goals and getting equal seats at the table. If I think about how we change the conversation, we need to have participation from industry, from civil society, and from government. And I think women are well equipped to participate in all of those three areas on the role of not just nuclear energy, but clean energy in general. I'll just pause there and turn it to my next.
Thank you. Princy.
Thank you so much. Greetings, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thanks to WNA for inviting me. Just my opening remarks. I come from a continent of 1.5 billion people, and out of those, there's only less than 500 million people who have access to electricity, and an estimated number of 900 million people do not have access to clean water. I'm talking about a continent that is home to a fifth of the world's population, but accounts for just less than 4% of the global electricity use. As a child, I used to wake up in the morning at the age of 8 years, walk kilometers to get clean water. At home, we had no access to electricity. And so we used things such as charcoal, woods, kerosene to cook. And I walked kilometers to get to school and crossing the rivers. And why I'm sharing this story is so that you understand a life of a typical African. So to me, a story about access to electricity is very close to my heart, especially for women, because it helps, electricity helps eliminate exposure to air pollution for women. As we know that the people who spend most of their time in the kitchen are women. So by having access to electricity, you get to have the appliances, electrical appliances such as cooking stove. And then in that case, women, at least they spend less time doing house chores, which is a burden to most of us. We don't like it, by the way. Then we spend less time doing that, and we spend more time doing things that are economically viable, and empowering for women. And also, street lighting, when you walk in the dark as a woman, especially in the African continent, you are in danger of, things that may happen to you. So when things such as lightning, street lighting have proven to be, increase the security for women, and enables the greater mobility for them in the future. So yeah, I do support that. The reason I founded Africa for Nuclear was so that, I help create awareness of nuclear as an energy that can help develop the African continent. And so that we contribute we solve issues of energy poverty, and we later, develop and, allow things such as, darkness do not affect women. So yeah, that's just my story. Thank you.
Joanna.
Thank you. Hi, thank you very much. Happy Gender Diversity Day. I'm so thrilled to be here with all of you. Again, thanks to Women in Nuclear for inviting me as well, and very exciting times. WIRE, as Soma indicated, we have signed an MOU between WIN Global and WIRE. So I've been working very closely with Dominique and of course Melina, so I can't express how grateful we are at WIRE Canada and also globally that we'll continue this journey together. We have a lot of great events that are planned together. We're going to continue this movement together. So just a little bit about WIRE, Women in Renewable Energy. I've been in the industry almost 20 years, and for 10 years of my career, I was building commercial wind farms. I built a 30-megawatt wind farm in Digby, Nova Scotia, and then I went on to build the world's largest wind farm in Roscoe, Texas, 783.4 megawatts. And every single time, I was the only female boots on the ground. And when I returned from the United States, I really needed to start a platform, an organization that was going to support women and underrepresented groups to continue this movement together. So with the help with a lot of amazing women and males and all, this journey began in Toronto, where I'm located. We are in every single province in Canada, including the territories, and we have grown internationally as well. So to continue with the Canadian story, the way that we actually enter the Canadian market is through the embassies, the Canadian embassies or the Canadian consulates. And right now we have chapters, international chapters in Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Jordan, UAE, and South Africa. And we are planning on continuing this expansion globally and where we are welcome. So there's a lot of different programs that we have at WIRE, but again, what I'm very conscious about is it's called GLOCAL. Be global, but act local. So the programs that may be applicable in Canada may not be applicable in other jurisdictions. So I work very closely with our WIRE chapter leads to ensure that the right programs are coming to life. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Joanna. So here.
Okay. I welcome all of you here in Egypt, and I'm very excited that the COP27 is done here. And I'm honored to represent WIN Global. Actually, I want to add to what Princey and Professor Sama said, that the situation in Africa is very bad because a draft fire and floods can happen in any part of the world. However, with countries with poor infrastructure, the damage is very devastating. Houses are made of clay and hay and are swept away with the flood. People will suffer from famine. I would like also to say that violence of men in African countries could be due to the inability that he cannot take care of his family. So he either deserts his family or he be violent with his wife. And of course, she enters into a psychological situation. Also, people immigrate, and immigration has a bad effect on the family and has a bad effect on women particularly, because they become poor in the countries where they immigrate for, with poor health situation, and they cannot take care of their children, and they say the children of a divorcee or a deserted mother become delinquent or vagabond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think that we have seen through all these initial stories that we all agree that the role of women in clean energy is absolutely essential. So let me ask a question, and I will maybe start with you, Lara, and if anybody wants to pitch in, I will please do. So, okay, so we have agreed that we need to have more women in energy technologies, in nuclear energy in particular. So how do we do this? How do we attract young girls and women into these careers? How do we keep them into these careers? What do we need to do?
Well, speaking from the U.S., which is where I'm most familiar with the situation, there had for so many years been this argument about, well, they're not in the pipeline. We can't find the women. We don't know, there's not enough, and so on. Those days are long gone. We now have graduating from college comparable numbers of women and men in the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, that are so essential to the foundation of nuclear energy, whether you're talking about from the policy perspective or the technical or operational perspective. So there's an issue of attracting them into the field because they're there, and making sure that the ingest processes are equitable. But it's the keeping of them that's the biggest challenge in the U.S. We call it the leaky pipeline, where you've got plenty coming in, but then there's holes and they fall out of the system on their path to senior leadership. And those are things that are much more challenging, because those get at the structural inequities of our nuclear entities, whether it's on the policy side or the technical side. That can be a mix of assumptions and, improper assumptions and bad policies. And so that's where you really need leadership. And one of the things that I've been involved in is creating in the diplomatic circles something called the International Gender Champions. This was invented in Geneva by a colleague of mine several years ago. I brought it to Vienna, and it's a way for the leaders in organizations, whether they're ambassadors or the heads of international organizations or heads of the private sector who work in the field, to take personal responsibility for making the changes inside their own institutions that are holding women back, and the changes that can support women. And so, for example, I've made a personal commitment to improve work-life balance within my office, in terms of how we hold meetings and what expectations we create for people and how they spend their day. Others can make other commitments based on where they are in their gender journey. So I think the important thing is to get leadership involved, and that means women and men. Men have a significant responsibility here because they tend to be at the top of so many of our nuclear organizations. And so I'm not going to let the men off the hook. And in fact, in our International Gender Champions, more than half of them are men because they are the ones at the top. And so I think that top down is an important element to add to what I call the bottom up and side out that so many women have been doing for themselves through organizations like Women in Nuclear, other organizations like that, of helping ourselves with a few male allies. We really need to get the top down piece invested in making a difference, a tangible difference that's measurable and not just pink washing.
Now, you said two things. I mean, I will pass it to Lisa. And Lisa wants to add. But let me maybe highlight two things that you said that are very important. So number one, when we are talking to women in clean energy or in nuclear energy, we are not talking only about engineers. We are talking all professions. So engineers are important, and law experts are important, and economists are important, communications experts are important, operators are important, professors are important. So that's very, I think that is something that is very important to highlight. Lisa.
I
And
think
then Soer.
I think Laura made some really great points. I think we still have a lot of work to do in the education system in terms of the barriers that exist for young girls in STEM. It's still a very regular occurrence where I get phone calls from moms that their daughter was dissuaded from pursuing a STEM education through university system. And I think we have to really take a giant step back and start addressing much earlier so that we can get the labor market availability where we need it to be. The nuclear industry is growing leaps and bounds, and we're going to need talent, and that means we need all talent. I commend the gentlemen in the audience who are here. I would say, I'm pleased to see so many men in the audience to be part of this conversation, but rarely am I on a panel talking about women working in the nuclear industry where there's a man on the panel, and we need all voices to really help us progress the conversation. And I think, the top-down approach that Laura mentioned, really good work happening at the Nuclear Energy Agency on the Gender Task Force, so the Gender Champions. I'm on the Gender Task Force, looking to make some real progress to address that. But I do think it really means starting much earlier in the education system to promote opportunities for young girls in STEM and the energy transition.
I completely agree with you, and I think that's what Soer has a very strong point of view on that. So if you could pass to Soer. So, and maybe I highlight the other thing that both of you said, which is often when we are talking about gender balance, unfortunately the only people in the room are women, which is not the case here. So it is very important to make sure that we as an industry, we as a community realize that this is an issue that affects all of us, men and women, and we all have to pitch in to make sure that our workforce is diverse, inclusive, and balanced. So very good points. Soer.
I would like to add that we have to take care of the doll, of what we give our children to play with. A daughter takes a doll and takes a makeup kit and takes a knitting kit, and the boy takes a mechano, takes a gardening, and takes building kits. So you direct their special cognitive function not away for the girls away from science and technology, and you build up the minds of boys to be engineers of the future. So we should take care from the very beginning of childhood the toy we give to our children.
I just want to thank you very much for that very compelling stories that we're telling here. I think that, retainership is very important in our industry. I think that also, we're talking about STEM and what that means. I think that there's ways to actually increase the right talents to come, by removing on the CVs, the names, the universities, the location, and really be able to take the best person for that job. I know that within our industry, I've been very lucky where I've had a lot of male champions, and I've definitely had, a lot of great mentors. But I think that sponsorship is very different than mentorship. Sponsorship is a level of responsibility that takes that individual to that next level. I want to see more women at the C-suite level. I want to see more women at the boardroom table. Only together will we actually make a difference and actually have solutions quicker when we are at the table. Thank you.
Princy, go ahead, Princy.
All right,
Yes.
just to add briefly, thank you, Professor, for that example. It's really brilliant. Just to add, also, what, they say we cannot be what we do not see. So I'm urging all the young women, we have engineers, young engineers here, and they need to step up and be role models. We need to speak more about these amazing women that exist in the industry. I mean, this industry exists because of women such as Marie Curie, Liz Meitner, and many others who fought against boundaries so that it exists. So we need to keep up the spirit. These young women here, they need to step up and be role models to the young girls that are upcoming. Thank you.
You know, this is very important, and I wanted to ask Miriam, let me ask you about this, because even though, yes, we are seeing more and more women in nuclear engineering in particular, but also in other engineering areas, many of you in particular, are still trailblazers. So what would you say, so what do you do from your point of view? How do you encourage other women? Have you become this role model that Princey was talking about? How do you make sure that other girls and young women see that they can do anything they want, including being an expert in a nuclear power plant?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Really just thinking about my own journey and where I am today and everything that I've been through, I don't want to take for granted the amount of knowledge and experience that I've gained and how much that of an impact it will have for the younger girls who are following into my steps. So I definitely take this as a personal responsibility, and I'm holding myself accountable to make sure that I'm spreading the story, sharing the successes. I want this to be a positive thing, you know? I myself, I feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants who are before me, you know? But I want to keep up with this journey. Before, it was for me about the representation. We used to talk when the program started about the first fuel engineer, the first local operator, the first this and that. But it's no longer about that. It's now the time of the many hundreds of girls who are following into our steps, but they still need the guidance and support, not just to be included, but to take more active roles and responsibilities into shaping their work environment, influencing the decisions, being part of the strategies. So I definitely feel like I have a role at this time to make sure that in any way, if I can make this happen, this is something very important. And this is where I see gender balance comes into play, is when we have active roles and active responsibilities and we are leading things. It's not just about being included, but having a voice that we are being listened to. And we are speaking about the perspective of women that are being addressed and making sure that there is a supportive environment that will continue to encourage women and retain women into this industry, whether it's nuclear or just the whole clean energy industry. Because we as women, we are the only ones who know other women's perspectives, their needs, and we are the only ones who can speak up about the unique and wonderful attributes that women bring into play, such as fostering, you know, knowledge sharing, teamwork, and creating an inclusive environment. So just looking at the value that we bring in and just making sure that we are highlighting those, we are speaking up, we continue to speak up about the added value of having women and the fact that we are, like everybody's saying, that we are trying to address this huge energy transition into clean energy, and we need to have access to the whole talent pool that there is, including women.
I think that's very important. I mean, it's not just counting the numbers, right? But it's truly being a part of the industry, being a part of the decision making, and being an integral part of everything that is happening. So I think that's very important. I don't know, Lisa, do you want to add to that?
I think, you know, we all have a role to play in terms of being role models. I have this really great sign in my office that was given to me by a phenomenal woman who is the leader of equity, diversity, and inclusion at the last company I worked at. And it says, "Great women support great women who support great women." And I think, you know, I've always maintained the idea that, you know, when you move forward or you move up, we need to reach back into the organization and help other women. Kind of being a trailblazer, getting out of your comfort zone, encouraging other women to do similar things is how we'll make change. It's how we'll make progress. But I do think, we have the opportunity to really move over, make space at the table, and encourage other women. And I think, when you get into a position where you have a voice and you have influence, it's also where we are able to have those conversations on behalf of other women with the men in power and the men who are decision makers, to talk about the role that women play, to talk about what we need in terms of talent and gender parity.
Very good. Does anybody want to add to this? No? Well, because I was going to... Okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
I would like to say that here in Egypt, according to the Egyptian law, men and women are equal in their votes and in their salaries. And 48% of the academics at the Atomic Energy Authority are women, and 47% are office workers. Also, women in Egypt has reached upper classes. They became deputy for they became head of the Egyptian Atomic Energy Authority and deputies for the Egyptian Atomic Energy Authorities, and hold head of many centers. Thank you.
Very good. Princy.
I just want to give credit to organizations like Women in Nuclear Global, who have been at the forefront of, driving this gender equality, message. And I attended WIN Global earlier this year. And, what I took out of that conference was, the action, the importance of acting now, because we've been talking forever. I mean, women represent 50% of the world's population. So it goes without saying that they should be proportionally represented in economic sectors also, such as nuclear. And we also have amazing women like Sama. We also have the Secretary of the U.S., Ms. Gronholm. We all, in South Africa, we have two women who are CEOs in the nuclear organizations. One, which is the Tebogo Homo, the CEO of the National Nuclear Regulator, and the one for the Radioactive Institution Disposal Institution, Dr. Margaret Nkosi. So therefore, we do have women. So it really goes without saying that it's no longer a question of who is capable. It's about let's just involve women and make sure that they are part of these economically empowering sectors. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to explore another dimension of this, because typically women tend to have this very strong desire to be to make a difference in the world, to whatever role they take needs to be impactful. And unfortunately, at least in nuclear, we see that quite often nuclear favor less nuclear energy. Women favor less nuclear energy than men. So I would like to ask some of you, perhaps I'll start with you, Mariam. What is the role, you think, of external communications to make sure that we explain and clarify the true facts about nuclear energy, to explain to women how important it is for them to get engaged, how important this is to improve their quality of life?
Yeah, definitely this is something that is very important. The external communication, making sure that everybody from the society is being educated and have the awareness and understand the importance of nuclear role, or the clean energy role in our lives. So I personally have conducted several communication and public outreaches to educate the people about the facts of nuclear, what it means, what value it adds, to bust the myths around nuclear energy, to make it transparent, factual, and also to listen from the people. And over the years, I don't know, we had thousands of people who've been to our outreaches, thankfully, and it had changed from what it started until now, the way we are conducting these forums, because we are listening to the people, making sure that we get their feedback, and making sure that they understand the value of what nuclear brings to to their lives, what clean energy means to their lives. And specifically speaking of women, it's very important that, just talking about the why and how things work, reaching out to every individual as much as possible within your society or community, reaching out to girls from early ages, influencing their mindset so they would know where to go from here into the future. This is going to have a huge impact on our future generations. And I think that, external communications, the value that it adds, the more that you know about things, unconsciously you will start developing the self-accountability toward making changes, and that's going to stay with you, and you're going to spread that around the people around you, and you're going to start creating that domino effect, whether you're going to go into nuclear or other areas of the clean energy sectors. So this is something definitely very important, the transparency, keeping it factual, understanding why we are doing what we are doing. I think this is the thing that people connect with the most.
Very good. Let me go to Joanna, and then we go to you, Laura.
I think one of the reasons, and a very important reason, why Wire and Win Global have partnered together is really to make sure that there is an educational awareness about nuclear is clean, and we need to make sure that people are educated. There's not have this misconception. A while back when I started Wire, and even though I'm a very proud Canadian citizen, 10 years ago in my own country, I was laughed at, I was mocked, I received hate mail. Even women came up to me and they're like, oh, there, great sorority. So, and that got me so angry that I decided to make a difference. And when I get angry, I get quiet. And when I get quiet, it's not a good thing. So, a few years back, someone said to me, well, what about Meyer, Men in Renewable Energy? I said, and I looked and I said, look around, it's the industry. So, only again, I keep reiterating, only together can we actually make a difference. At Wire, we partner with different non-for-profits or charities where it's a win-win for both organizations. If it's a win for one and a loss for the other, then it's a loss for our community. So again, I'm very, very proud that at Wire, we have partnered with so many organizations, not only from the Canadian spectrum, but from the international. So again, please, whatever we can do at Wire, it's to support and assist. And again, I can't stress enough how proud I am that Win Global and Wire have provided or signed an MOU.
Thank you so much, Joanna.
I'll let you hang on to it. I just want to, I asked for the floor for a different issue, but I just want to say how exciting it is to see Wire and Win connecting. There is too much conversation on nuclear Twitter from what I call the nuclear bros hating on renewables. It's an unnecessary lose-lose proposition, and it surprises me not one bit that it's women who see the interconnectedness of nuclear and renewables. We have seen story after story, study after study that says we need all of the above. And that includes nuclear, it includes renewables, and what's exciting is these new technologies, advanced reactors and small modular reactors, are actually designed to interact directly with renewables to create the reliable electricity flow into the grid, whether the sun is shining or the wind is blowing or it's not. And so I just really want to say congratulations to that partnership. That's really exciting. I think part of the issue around community support has to do with that honest engagement. And I have a similar saying to Princey's, that if you can see her, you can be her. And to be able to show by the female spokeswomen who are not there to be communicators alone, who come from a technical background, who have a specific way, a specific story to tell, but who are informed and trained in high quality communication techniques. And that's another piece of, in the corporation or in an organization, who is the public face of that organization? Who do reporters call to ask about what's going on in that organization? If we do not have high quality communication training across everyone in the organization, or in a way that allows women's voices to be centered when there is an opportunity to be visible in the media, then we're also not doing a good job of making sure that we attract women's attention, that we attract those who find a female voice to be more compelling. So I think it's a matter of training as well as a matter of who do you put forward.
So it is really a matter of answering the questions that women have, not the questions that other people think that women have. So I think that's very important. I don't know, Lisa, you wanted to add? Yep. I know that Princey will want to add because she's the expert in communications.
Yeah, just I guess two things. I mean, the nuclear industry is famous for, like, we talk to ourselves a lot. We spend a lot of our time talking to ourselves, which is a great thing when you it's kind of the first thing I say when I talk to the public, that we're well connected. We learn from each other. We understand our OPEX worldwide. But we need to kind of get out of our own way and get out into the community. And fundamentally, that is how Women in Nuclear was founded. It was women having conversations in communities with women makes a difference. Women working in the industry bring a level of expertise and comfort to communities to really help shape the conversation. But I mean, we do a lot of that. And Princey is a good example kind of on what
Very
she's
good.
done.
Thank you, Lisa. Princey.
All right, thank you so much. I think I agree with everything that has been said, but over and above that, I still, stand with what you can't what you don't see, or seeing is believing. I think the industry needs to be less secretive in terms of how they operate. People don't know what a reactor looks like because there's a lot of bureaucracy to access nuclear power plants. So I think the industry needs to consider that in their struggle to communicate the nuclear power industry. So they need to be less bureaucratic and try to accommodate people. Let people see how a nuclear plant looks like so that they can believe that this industry can offer what it says it can offer. So that's just what I wanted to add. And to all the nuclear professionals, can we please be visible on social media, because that's very important. That's where you find many people, and many people are able to, to read. Social media has proven to have an impact in in communicating messages and in reaching so many people and in convincing the policymakers to do the right thing. Thank you.
You did bring a fabulous point, because I think that we in the nuclear community in general, we need to be more aware of the importance of our role as advocates for nuclear energy, for clean energy. But I think that women in particular can be particularly effective in that role when we are talking to other people, other women. So I think that we really need to capitalize on that. And part of that is what Laura was saying. Maybe some of us are engineers, some of us are lawyers, some of us are economists, not necessarily the best communicators, but if we get the appropriate training, then maybe we will get there. So that's very good point. Very good point.
Who knew that nuclear can look so beautiful? Thank you.
Yes, and there is that, of course. Okay, so we have still a few minutes in this session, and I would like to open the session for questions. I don't know if anybody in the audience has a question that they would like to ask. No? Everybody is very shy. Okay, but we have a question over there, Jonathan.
Hello, everyone. So I don't know if you can hear me. My name is Evelina Cheng from Kenya. My background is in healthcare. I just want to ask women here how they feel. How far are we towards achieving the two-thirds agenda, or half agenda, 50% men, 50% women? How far are we from that goal? And what projects are you involved in towards achieving that? or what activities are you involved in towards encouraging more women to be involved in this industry?
Thank you very much. So, who wants to jump at this question right away? Lisa, you
I
can start. Yeah?
I think we're farther away than we'd like to be, and I know that's a vague answer. I think there's so many variables in terms of attracting and retaining talent. I know, there's a lot of large employer organizations and government who are signatories of the Equal by 30 campaign, aimed at achieving equal leadership, equal pay, equal opportunity for women. 2030 is just around the corner.
Yes.
If I think about the representation of women working in the nuclear industry in Canada, currently at 23%, it's going to be a sprint for us to get to 50%. We have undertaken at Wind Canada a number of activities. We are working closely with Natural Resources Canada on an equity, diversity, and inclusion roadmap for the industry. And really, it's fundamentally based on the premise that when we work together in the nuclear industry, whether it's for refurbishments or isotopes, things that are very complicated, when we work together on those things, we accomplish great things. Gender parity, less complicated, should be easier to accomplish, but needs a lot of focus so that we're pulling in the right direction, we're pulling together, and that we're actually focusing on activities that are having the desired outcomes and effects that we're looking for. I think everybody's very well intended when we think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but there's a lot of busy work that's happening, and we need to really focus on what's effective, what is actually working, and that is some of the work that we're doing at Wind Canada for the nuclear industry. So I look forward to sharing more on that. Nuclear Energy Agency, another great example. Gender Champions, Gender Task Force undertook a survey in the last year, I guess, to find out where are the women, what are the experiences of women in the nuclear sector. I will say I'm really proud to say that Wind Canada had actually done a survey of our women a couple of years earlier, which is where the NEA got the idea that they wanted to do a global survey, something that makes me really proud that our work was recognized, but to understand what needs to happen to advance the NATO. So there is lots of well thought out activity on this to make sure that we are where we need to be in 7 and a bit short years.
Thank you. So let me go to Joanna, because it would be good to know what is happening in the renewables energy industry.
Thank you again. We did actually a study with Irina, and one of the things that is unfortunate is that we're really, really, really behind. Wire is also a signatory of the Equal by 30 campaign, as Lisa indicated. We are also huge advocates of Electricity Human Resources Canada, EHRC, and they actually have a leadership accord on gender diversity. I urge all of you to put your money where your mouth is to make a difference. We can sign as many signatories or accords as we want, but if we're not going to demonstrate and how to take that first forward step, we're going to be continuously not moving forward. I want to see, again, more women at the boardroom table, more women really at the C-suite table. One of the things that I do want to comment on is, women at times are not very nice to each other. I want to see us women uplifting one another. I want us to be empowered by one another, and I want us to really rise above and move together. So I'll leave it at that, but again, we're very far away to getting to 50-50.
Thank you, Joanna. Zoe, and then Laura, you wanted to add also. Zoe, go ahead.
Well, I think that jealousy is if I can turn it into a positive feeling, it would be great. Competition is always required. So I feel jealous from her. Then I try to change myself and to be better than her or compete with her rather than try to destroy her. So this is what we need.
Very good. Laura, okay. Princey and then Laura. Okay.
Just to add, I think I want to put the responsibility to all the leaders who are here right now today to say you need to put more emphasis on programs that promote women in all aspects of nuclear value chain. Thank you.
Laura.
I think Princey's absolutely right on that point, and I just thought I would mention what's going on at the International Atomic Energy Agency. The Director General of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, has been a dedicated gender champion for as long as he's been in this position. And he said he was going to achieve 50% balance at all levels of the International Atomic Energy Agency staff by the end of his first term, which will be next year. He has gone from 33% to 40% just in the last couple of years. So he's already making a difference, and he's doing that by policies and expectations and revising how the agency hires, promotes, and retains people. So he's got he's going to get there by next year, and will be 50-50 at the UN and in the nuclear context. So I'm very excited about that. Very happy to promote that work.
Thank you, Laura. So if you allow me, I wanted to highlight two things that I just heard from everybody here. So number one, unfortunately, we are not as close as we need to be, 50-50. But also something that I heard is the number is important, but much more important than the number is the true engagement. So we really make sure, I mean, if we just fill quotas, it may not be as conducive to success as we want. We really want people to feel truly empowered, engaged in leadership positions and given all the opportunities, not just filling a quota. So I think that's very important. And then the other thing that I would like to say, which was brought up earlier, so Air and others said, I think that the only way which we will achieve this 50-50 is if we also work from girls. I mean, girls need to understand that every opportunity is available to them, and then they need to pursue whatever career they want, whether it's in clean energy or in nuclear energy or in anything. But so it's very important to work from girls from the very beginning. So we have a few minutes. Was there another question? Yeah, Shirley.
Hi, Shirley Rodriguez, Generation Atomic. My question would be, what will you tell to the women or the unexperienced person when you started in a male-dominant field like nuclear?
Anybody wants to jump at that? Go ahead.
Yeah, hi.
Miriam.
I think just reflecting on my young self, I would say that look for the supporting system, because there is a lot of support, but we tend to kind of shy out for reaching out because of just the fact that there are more men than women. But that doesn't mean that you will not be able to find the support. There is always going to be support for you, whether there is someone who's going to be supporting you and advocating for you, whether it's a man or a woman. And definitely now, where I am today, I would always try to keep myself accountable that I am that support that someone coming into the industry is going to be seeking for. I'm going to make myself available. But just having that support, knowing that there is someone representing you, it's going to make a ton of difference in your thinking and your energy moving forward and moving ahead within your career. Just ask for the support. Don't be shy about it. I mean, we tend to be shy as women, not very clear, but there is nothing wrong with being clear and being specific to what you want and asking for the support. It doesn't make any less of you if you seek out the support, and from there you count on that support and you grow further, and then in the future you become the support to the younger people or the younger women coming in. Just let's keep creating that domino effect. Let's not stop. And this is where I want to just emphasize, I want to leave the session with a positive note that I'm standing here again, like I said, on the shoulders of giant women. This is what I mean. and we need to continue this journey.
Very good. I love that. So,
Well, I would like to say work hard, develop your efficiency, and develop your talents so that you deserve what you earn what you want to. Thank you.
very good. Excellent.
I think it's important to do that asking, because a lot of times people aren't going to come and say, hey, do you need a mentor? Do you want a sponsor? Can I help you? You will need to go and find those. And believe me, the men are doing it. So don't be shy. Ask for that help. Find those mentors, find those sponsors, and be specific about what you want. Are you looking to expand your skill set within your your current role? Are you looking for a promotion? Are you looking about maybe leaving a particular company and looking to go to a different firm, or shifting from industry to government or back? And so the more clear you are about the type of advice you're asking, that will help you clarify where you go for that and who can help you get there. I'll just mention I started my nuclear career in 1992 in the Pentagon, where I was young, female, civilian, and political. And so it was hard to tell which of those things I was being, looked down upon for. But eventually, competence, high energy, and a really good male sponsor were what allowed me to progress and demonstrate that those labels that I had achieved just by people looking at me were not the things that defined me.
Very good. Well, so we have only a few minutes to end the session. So what I would like to do is, and definitely I want to end in a positive note, and I want to end with actionable, positive recommendations. So I would like to maybe go a quick line and ask each one of you to give me maybe one, perhaps two quick recommendations of things that we need to do in order to get closer to where we need to be for this gender parity, gender balance, all inclusiveness that we need to have in nuclear industry and the clean energy industries. Laura.
Well, I'm going to cheat and recommend a book that is full of data and proven processes to enhance gender balance in organizations. It's called What Works. The title says it all, and it's by a woman named Iris Bohnen, Iris Bohnen, and it's an awesome data-filled proof of concept set of specifics that agencies and organizations and companies can do to achieve gender balance in their structures.
I would say that, and I said that before, that we are past the point of representation. It's not just about the numbers. And we need to continue to offer equal opportunities. That means that you are building your knowledge, you are gaining experience, and you're having the competency. This is the first step. And the next step would be that we continue to offer the supportive environment, the encouraging and welcoming environment, and all the other supporting elements that's going to help women grow into their career, into their positions, and continue and retain them and continue to develop to reach whatever potential they want to reach within their positions. And the other thing would definitely be also that it's not just about now having the qualified women, but we make sure that they have active roles and active contributions that shaping the policies or the regulations or the standards or the decision-making process that is happening. So that would be my recommendation to achieve the gender balance in the future.
Thank you so much. Lisa.
Agree, comma. I think there's, of course, lots of things we can do. One of the things that I would like companies to start doing is tracking key performance indicators and bottom line dollars as they make a change and a shift to gender parity. We've all heard the research, and my eyes generally start to glaze over every time somebody points to the research, but I have yet to find a company that actually tracks gender parity with commercial budget outcomes. So I would recommend that.
Very good. Good recommendation. Princey.
I think we need to, implement, because I'm not going to say develop, we do have strategies that are about gender equality, that are about diversity and inclusion. What we need to do is to implement them. When the HR department, make applications and hire people, they can't come back and say they did not find a woman. They must go and find a woman. That should be their responsibility. They are about, there's a lot of women out there, so it's not a matter of you did not find a woman. Yeah. Did you even go and find them? So it lies with the HR department to make sure that as they hire, women are also part of the hired, group. Thanks.
Excellent. Joanna.
So we keep hearing the word implementation. Implementation is key. Lip service is free. Talk is free. Be a doer, not a talker. Get involved. There's a lot of great organizations out there. And you can always count on my support and assistance at any time at Wire. That is something that we welcome, is really that support and assistance to all. If you're looking to get into the sector, we're here to help.
Thank you, Joanna. So,
I would like to say, help each other, cooperate with each other, and love each other in order to build a better world. Thank you.
thank you. I like that. Well, thank you very much for all these insights. Unfortunately, we have reached the end of this session. Please, I want to ask all of you here and all of you remotely to help me thank these fabulous women for their insights. And I just want to end by thanking everybody, and just also in particular all our male colleagues that are here in this session today. You cannot see them, but there is a bunch of them here. So thank you, because you all are going to be partners in helping us implement all these very important recommendations. So thank you very much. Have a fabulous rest of your day, Gender Day here at COP27. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.